Hello, everyone. Just a sec. First of all, thank you for coming to our conference as part of the Stop the Stigma event. This conference that was hosted by the community and by Moxie Educational Services. When we wrote the Stop the Stigma, we know the importance of person first language, and so it does set how we understand each other. So person first language is really focused on humanity and not diagnoses or systematic involvement, and really presents our shared commitment to to dignity, respect, and equity. We also recognize that individuals may prefer person first identity, person first language. So we encourage presenters and participants to honor personal preferences about when possible, excuse me. Do you want to start with our land acknowledgement? Sorry, I didn't start with my script. I'm just going to go with the land acknowledgement first. So this conference is hosted virtually, and we are aware that there are Indigenous people whose land this has been held on. I don't. So we want to make sure that the communities, it's here based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and there's the Ho-Chunk Nation, the Potawatomi Nation, and the How
Potawatomi,
Potawatomi Nation as well.
the
The
Ojibwe, and the Odawa peoples of the Council of the Three Fires. Mosque Educational Services is based in New Hampshire on the ancestral lands of the Abenaki and the Penaka. Histories, cultures, and sovereignty continue today. We honor their resilience, ongoing contributions, and enduring relationship to the land. This acknowledgement is only a beginning. We encourage all attendees to learn about the Indigenous nation whose lands they reside on and to support ongoing efforts towards Indigenous justice and sovereignty. Accessibility is a shared responsibility. Thank you for helping create a conference culture rooted in respect, care, and openness. ASL interpreters are provided for each session, and cart captions are activated.
So I do want to start with visual descriptions, and then we'll go ahead and proceed from there. So I am Ben Wright. I am a deaf male. Both speak and sign, but for this part of our event, the awards ceremony portion, I will be signing only. I am a bald male who has a beard and mustache. I'm wearing a black shirt, a black polo shirt that has a logo for the community on the left-hand side. Behind me is a beige curtain or draped system with a light to my right and a retro sort of 1960s painting on the wall, poster, whatever. So I will now proceed with the beginning of our awards ceremony. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stop the Stigma, and this is our award ceremony portion for the 2026 conference. I'll be honest, I really kind of wanted to start with like a full song and dance number, kind of have a whole jazz hand spotlight thing going on, some fog machines maybe, but Zoom doesn't really allow for that apparently. So instead, I thought it would be best to be funny, keep you interested, and maybe not accidentally talk while I'm muted. Honestly, though, kind of feels like a win. It truly is an honor to be here this afternoon. This ceremony is actually my favorite part of the conference because it gives us a chance to kind of pause and reflect and celebrate what people have done and the important work they've done, which oftentimes goes unrecognized. Of course, know we do it without enough resources. And so let's talk about something that people don't often say out loud. Awards can be awkward. People sometimes kind of wonder, hmm, are people doing the work just to get the award? How do you decide who gets recognized and who you don't recognize? Are we applauding people and then ignoring others who might be doing great work as well? So, we may sometimes applaud some individuals while ignoring others who have done really important work as well. Honestly, fair questions. But if you've ever done advocacy work, no one goes into this field thinking, I might, I'm going to end up doing this work and get a trophy or an award for it. If that were the actual motivation, we'd all be doing something else. Here's what I believe. Awards are not just about ego. They're about visibility. They're about saying, we see you, we see the labor, we see the hard work you've done, and we understand the impact you've made. Because so much of the work around disability, incarceration, mental health, and access happens quietly, it tends to happen without applause, without funding, without job titles that show what people are actually doing on a daily basis. Sometimes it happens in prisons, sometimes in the courtroom, other times in classrooms, and sometimes it happens in a late night email that starts with, sorry for the delay. I've just been putting out fires all day. Today is about pulling a few of those stories into light. Not because they're only ones that are important or matter, but because we want to recognize them because recognition matters. So let me ask a few questions. What makes someone a change maker? What makes someone an access and equity champion? What does it mean to go above and beyond, especially in systems that already feel like they're working against you? To answer that, we have to talk honestly about disability. Disability isn't rare, it isn't a niche, and it definitely isn't always visible. Disability includes deaf and hard of hearing people, physically disabled people, cognitively, intellectually, and learning disabilities, mental health conditions, chronic illnesses, neurodivergence, and trauma, especially trauma that's been shaped by incarceration and systematic harm. And there are disabilities that you can't see, but can see, excuse me, but many you can't. Imagine a world where people couldn't see your disability, but they still judged you anyways. They judged how you spoke, how you moved, how fast you responded to an email, or why you really needed that accommodation. Did you really need it? Or do you even deserve it? And yeah, the numbers do tell part of the story. Disabled people are significantly underemployed. Many don't have jobs. Disabled people are vastly overrepresented in prisons and jails as opposed to regular non-disabled individuals. The numbers are vastly different. disabled people, specifically disabled people of color, are more likely to be punished instead of supported. These numbers don't exist because disabled people are broken. They exist because systems are broken. Yet, despite that, people still show up. They build programs, they advocate, they create art and drawings and writings and paintings and whatever the form of art they may choose to use. They mentor, they push systems forward. Sometimes while they're pushing, that pushing involves kicking and screaming and yelling and moving forward with it. The people we are honoring tonight, they didn't just do their jobs well. They didn't just check a box or go to a training. They showed up when it was tough. They spoke up when it was uncomfortable or even when it wasn't. They made space where none existed before. And that is what tonight and today is about. So, as we move through these awards, I invite you to do two things. First, celebrate loudly. Clapping is encouraged, and you can always use your emojis to show your clapping in the chat as well. Happy tears are allowed. And second, ask yourself how you can support this work beyond today. Recognition is meaningful, but sustained support, that is what changes lives. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for believing that stigma is something that we can challenge and dismantle together. Now, before we get started with our actual awards, I do want to have a quick recap of the conference. As we move into the award ceremony, I do want to pause and reflect on what this conference has asked of us. Stop the Stigma doesn't mean it wasn't meant to be passive. It wasn't designed to become something that you attend, take notes on, and then move on unchanged from. If we've done our job right during this conference, it should follow you home. It should sit with you tomorrow morning. It should show up in your work next week. So instead of saying, we heard or we attended, I went or I saw, I want you to frame this I want to frame this recap more intentionally. We learned, so we will. We learned that disability services cannot work in isolation. So we will build partnerships across every department in our institutions and colleges and so on. From Disability 101 through education and disability, we were reminded of something essential. Disability access is not the responsibility of one office. Disability services cannot do this work alone, nor should they have to. There is a partnership to be had, and that's with admissions offices, financial aid offices, the faculty, the staff and teachers, academic advisors, IT, campus police, Department of Corrections, prison and education programs, re-entry offices. So we will stop treating disability services as a silo. We will stop calling them after a problem has occurred. And we will start designing systems where access is shared, coordinated, and expected across departments. We learned that disability is a routinely misunderstood thing in legal spaces. So we will challenge the courtroom practices that confuse disability with guilt, defiance, and incompetence. Disability in the courtroom showed us often how communication differences, psychiatric disabilities, deaf access needs, and cognitive disabilities are misread as noncompliance or dishonesty. So we will push for better training. We will advocate for qualified interpreters and meaningful accommodations. And we will question systems that claim neutrality while producing predictable harm. We learned that race and disability are inseparable. So we will stop addressing one without the other. We will make sure we focus on them together. Race and disability session made that clear. Disability is racialized, diagnosed differently, disciplined differently, and criminalized differently depending on who you are. So we will center intersectionality in policy, education, and advocacy. We will listen to those most impacted, and we will refuse solutions that only work for a narrow few. We learned that disability can be deeply isolating, especially when culture is ignored. So we will confront isolation, not just access. Disability and culture reminded us that stigma doesn't just limit services, it isolates people. Isolation looks like being the only deaf person in a room, being the only disabled person in a rural community, being far from services because of geography, being unseen because your language, culture, or identity is not reflected. So we will stop assuming access automatically creates belonging. We will recognize isolation as harm, and we will invest in culturally responsive, community grounded approaches that reduce distance socially, linguistically, and geographically.
Learn that trauma and mental health are central, not peripheral, so that we will respond with care instead of punishment. Disability and mental health reinforce what many already know. Trauma compounds when systems fail. So we will stop asking people to power through. We will stop punishing trauma responses. We'll push for disability informed, culturally grounded mental health support inside and outside incarceration. We learned that from being Michelle, that systems don't just fail people, they abandon them. So we will refuse silence when those failures are exposed. Being Michelle asked us to sit with discomfort, to witness how disability, deaf access failures, trauma, and incarceration collide, and how survival often happens despite systems, not because of them. So we'll stop looking away when stories make us uncomfortable. We will believe lived experience, and we will demand trauma informed, disability competent systems that don't disappear when someone needs them most. We learned from Brick by Brick that stigma is not abstract, it is personal. So we will challenge it where it lives in policy, practice, and people. Brick by Brick asks something very specific of us. It asks us to stop separating systems from humanity. It asks us to see how stigma accumulates brick by brick through language, neglect, silence, and exclusion. And it asks us to recognize the cost paid by families, communities, and individuals when access is denied. So the call to action here is simple, but not easy. When you see stigma, interrupt it. When you hear dismissal, challenge it. When access is missing, don't explain it away, fix it. We learned that vocational rehabilitation is not optional, it is essential. So we will integrate VR earlier and more intentionally. With nearly 2/3 of incarcerated people living with this disability, VR is not an add on, it's a cornerstone. So we will strengthen partnerships between VR counselors, prisons, educational providers, and reentry programs. We will build continuity instead of starting from scratch at release. And we will design employment pathways that account for disability from day one. We learned that reentry without access is not reentry. We will fight for continuity, not cliff edges. Reentry reminded us that success depends on accessible housing, healthcare, medication continuity, transportation, benefit reinstatement, and education. So we will stop treating release as the finish line. We will advocate for coordinated transitions, and we will measure success by stability, not just speed. We learned that technology access shapes opportunity. So we will close the digital gap. Disability Tech Access and the DOC showed us how digital literacy, adaptive technology, and platform access shape whether people can learn, work, and reconnect. So we will push for accessible technology. We will train staff, not just students, and we will stop allowing security concerns justify exclusion. We also learned about the LGBT issues. We learned that it has to be incorporated into everything else. We learned that visibility is important. Sharing our stories is important, not just for the LGBT community, but for all communities. And finally, we learned that this work does not end here. So we will act. The final question of this conference was simple. What now? And the answer is we take what we learned back with us. We embed it into policy. We build partnerships. We challenge stigma brick by brick. If we do that, then Stop the Stigma has done exactly what it was. Thank you. And to the awards. So first, I want to make sure that the individuals are here, and then we'll go ahead and get started. The first award is the Barrier Breaker Award. It honors formerly incarcerated individuals who have demonstrated resilience, leadership, and impact in challenging stigma surrounding disability, incarceration, or mental health. We got a whole host of nominations of people who were all amazing. Our committee had the challenge and a difficult time of picking who should receive this award. I'm inspired by this individual. I'm honored by them. And I want to take the opportunity to recognize people. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to call the presenter up. That person will speak about the individual winning the award. Once they are done their 5 minute speech, then the person who will move on to the person who receives the award. Without telling the award person, I invited people to give the awards, and it's supposed to be a surprise. So I hope I did you justice by selecting the correct person to present the award to you. My hope is that you recognize that person who happens to give you the award really does care about the award winners, and congratulations. With that, the first award, as I said, is the Barrier Breaker Award. The person presenting that award is Lori Melner.
Hi, everyone. And thank you so much for that introduction. Thank you, Ben, for this conference and for this opportunity. It's my honor to get to introduce the Stop the Stigma Barrier Breaker Award. 66% of women in prison reported having a history of mental illness. And first, that's almost twice the percentage of men incarcerated. Second, that's compared to about 26% of the overall national population. Jennifer understands that truth, not abstractly, but as her lived reality. As a teenager, Jennifer was pulled into the criminal legal system under Texas determinate sentencing laws, and that moment shaped nearly 3 decades of involvement in a system never designed to protect her or anyone like her. But instead of being defined by that, Jennifer did something different with that, and she found her voice, and she turned that voice and her story into power, not just for herself, but for countless others. Jennifer is one of the most fierce and strong leaders working in Texas today on incarceration, on disability justice, and on the realities of coming home or sometimes even not. Her writings has appeared in the Texas Observer, in the Marshall Project, and the Guardian, and she co-hosts On the Rec-Yard, a women's prison podcast that brings the truth of incarceration directly from people who lived through it. But I think if I asked her right now what she's most proud of, that would be Lioness. Lioness Justice Impacted Women's Alliance, the organization she co-founded, and the fruition of many years sitting at a day room table, planning for days like these on the outside. As the executive director of Lioness, Jennifer leads an organization that is absolutely unique in Texas and still very rare across the country, because Lioness was created by and is led by currently and formerly incarcerated girls, women, and gender expansive folks. Its mission is to end the incarceration and the ongoing devaluation of these communities and to build real power among people who have been shut out for generations. Under Jen's leadership, Lioness influences statewide policy and strengthens local support across Texas. Members inside the prison contribute to research and contribute to our advocacy, and everything else rests on one core belief that the people most affected by incarceration must lead these solutions. Jennifer challenges stigma in ways that are immediate and human. She speaks openly about borderline personality disorder, trauma, and disabilities as part of a person's whole life and not as something to hide. She refuses to separate mental health from the impact or even the origin of incarceration. And she helps people understand that systems create harm and that harm lives in bodies and minds long after sentences end. Her work on reproductive health in Texas women's prison exposed neglect that has gone unspoken for years. Research on mental health impact of disasters and confinement documented how crises compound behind bars. Reporting on book bans showed how access to affirming literature is stripped away from people who are already living in isolation. And these efforts did more than produce reports. They validated lived experience. They changed conversations, and they made it harder to ignore the humanity of women behind bars. Right now, she's apparently one of the most quotable sources out there that there is on women's periods and prisons. But Jennifer's leadership is not only visible in policy spaces or in publications, it shows up in other moments, in the way she listens, and the way she creates room for the LGBTQIA voices, for young people, for women with disabilities to speak up without apology, in the way she builds a culture where nothing about someone's background is used to shame them, in the ways that so many of us out here in Texas have followed her lead and also begin talking about our own mental health in order to smash those stigmas and those biases. She brings clarity to rooms that feel heavy. She brings a lot of humor into spaces, and she never lets us forget that joy is part of survival and a true act of resistance. Even in glimpses into her life, like her cat, Taylor, who she says carries the spirit of Taylor Swift, she reminds us that formerly and currently incarcerated women deserve ordinary happiness in the same measure as anyone else. Jen changed the way people understand incarceration, especially for women. She builds community where others might only see systems. She makes people feel braver about telling the truth, and she reminds us that stopping stigma isn't about soft language. It's about restoring dignity. It's about recognizing that lived experience is expertise. It's about building a future where women with disabilities, mental health needs, and histories of incarceration are never pushed to the side, but are leading the way forward. Jen, your courage, your clarity, and your commitment have shifted the conversation in Texas. You made the space for others to speak, and you've helped women see themselves not as problems to solve, but as leaders to follow. And it's a profound privilege to get to introduce you, as it was a no-brainer for you to get this award. Thank you so much. And I'll turn it over to Jennifer too.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. First, I want to audio describe myself. My name is Jennifer Toon. I'm sitting on a couch with a little cat figurine in the background, and of course, with a hoodie on that says Taylor Swift. So I'm really happy to be here. Ben, you did a good job. What a surprise to have Lori be able to introduce me. I was almost like, who is she talking about? Surely not me. I think some of us can have a really hard time sometimes hearing good things about ourselves. So very touched, Lori, thank you for being here, and thank you for everyone who's enjoyed the conference, and all the other folks that have won the award today. You'll have to forgive me. I have been sick all week. I don't know what that bug is that's going around, but it got me good. And so I'm going to keep it short because I don't know how long my voice has lasted. I have not spoken in 2 days to try to save it for this moment. But I wanted to start off with saying that my path into advocacy work was first deeply shaped by my peer policy fellowship with the Coalition of Texans with Disabilities about 1.5 years after I was released. That fellowship helped me put language into what I'd already lived, right? As a person with lived experience in the Texas criminal legal system, and a person with a serious mental health illness, I saw up close in almost 20 years, a little over 20 years of justice involvement, that intersection between disability and incarceration. I experienced and I witnessed how people with disabilities were stigmatized and criminalized based on just simply accessibility needs or expressions of their disabilities. I tell policymakers wherever I go in Texas that if we're serious about justice reform, people with disabilities must be central to the conversation and not just merely an afterthought. And I think we've already heard from Ben and a little bit from Lori just now about, how the data speaks to that, right? The Prison Policy Initiative, um, wonderful reports. And they put out a report, comprehensive report on disabilities. More than half of women in state prisons report having a disability. National research shows that 40 to almost 50% of all people in state prisons have a disability compared to 15% of the general population. But, I try to remind policymakers and the public when we're educating folks that these aren't just stats and numbers that give the validity to what we're talking about. It's our lived experience, right? Because behind those numbers and those stats are people. They're real people, people whose needs are misunderstood and punished, people whose humanity is overlooked and neglected, people like many of us. So I received this award with deep gratitude and in solidarity with every directly impacted person with a disability who has and who is still navigating the criminal legal system. So thank you for seeing this work that we're doing here in Texas, because it is truly not a Jennifer show. It is a collective of powerful advocates who are working towards change. So thank you for seeing our work. I appreciate the award. Thank you so much.
I feel so inspired. Sorry. Okay. So, I just had something come to mind. I think from now on, I want the person who's presenting the award and the person who's receiving the award to come on camera at the same time. I felt like it might be a nicer opportunity. So I'm sorry that that didn't happen for you, Jennifer, but wow, what an amazing that was said about you. It was beautiful. I do now want to ask May, Thornton, Mara to turn their camera on. And then if I could have Shannon Copeland turn their camera on, that would be great. Just 1 second, May, while we get Shannon on. Shannon, hold on, let me text Shannon. Shannon had asked me to text her when it was their time, so, oh, there we are. All right, so first of all, May, I'll allow you to go ahead and present your award to Shannon. Shannon's camera's off. Well, you can go ahead, May.
Okay. Well, first of all, this bug has got me too, so bear with me with my voice here today. And I also realize I'm getting a little emotional. It's such an honor to be here and be a part of this conference. It's such an honor to present this award to Shannon. Shannon and Michelle's paths crossed in life during their time at Lowell Correctional Institution, one of the it's notoriously one of the worst female institutions in the country. And their paths crossed there, not only just in prison, but both of them had been put into solitary confinement. And I believe both of them were being punished. Both of them women with disabilities in this institution. So I'd just like to take a moment to honor the fact that both Shannon and Michelle survived their time in that institution, and our world is a better place for it. It's truly an honor to be here presenting the Barrier Breaker Award, an award that exists to recognize people who do something incredibly difficult. They challenge stigma, not in theory, but in practice, often at great personal cost. Today, I have the privilege of presenting this award to Shannon Copeland. Shannon's story is not one of abstract injustice. It is a lived reality. She spent more than 15 years wrongfully incarcerated in Florida's women's jails and prisons. Years taken under conditions designed to silence, isolate, and punish anyone who dared to speak up. And yet, Shannon did speak up. While incarcerated, she didn't just survive the system, she learned how to confront it. She earned a paralegal certificate and used that training to file legal actions in state, federal, and appellate courts. She pursued mitigation that resulted in a sentence reduction. She filed thousands of grievances addressing medical neglect, accessibility barriers, and due process violations, not only for herself, but for others who had even less access, power, or voice. That matters because breaking barriers isn't glamorous. It's paperwork, it's persistence, it's choosing to care when the system tells you that you don't matter. What makes Shannon's leadership especially powerful is what happened after her release. Instead of being consumed by what was taken from her, she's devoted herself to reducing stigma around wrongful conviction, incarceration, disability, trauma, and mental health through service, advocacy, and public truth-telling. Many of you know Shannon through Being Michelle. Her presence in that film is vital because it brings forward a voice that the system tried very hard to erase, and they didn't succeed. Shannon reminds us that stories of incarceration are not just about what happened inside prison walls. They're about who people are before, during, and after, and about the harm that continues when we refuse to listen. Since her release, Shannon has supported returning citizens, coordinated blood drives, helped unhoused neighbors, spoken before legislators, and built community wherever she goes. Her leadership is grounded not in titles but in daily action. This is exactly what the Barrier Breaker Award is meant to honor. Shannon breaks barriers by insisting on dignity, by turning survival into service, by showing us what justice impacted leadership truly looks like when it is rooted in care, courage, and lived expertise. It is with deep respect and pride that I present the 2026 Stop the Stigma Barrier Breaker Award to Shannon Copeland. Congratulations, Shannon.
Thank you very much. You know, I nominated myself for this award and I'm uncomfortable tooting my own horn. But what I've realized is that collaboration with other people is vital to getting things done. I can do so much more when I combine my efforts with other people that are interested in the same issues. So I'm trying to get myself out there by getting recognition in this way so that I can do more work. So it's not a selfish endeavor to nominate myself. I had sort of ulterior motives to try to connect with people that are doing the kind of work I'm doing so that we can make a better impact to do the work in the criminal justice reform arena. I focus on prisoner advocacy, reentry, and criminal justice reform, mostly in Florida. I go all over the United States for conferences. I just got back from a conference in Houston, Texas, with the organization called Time Done. I learn so much when I go to these events with other people and I get resources. I find out about the things they're doing. I get ideas and I learn all kinds of things. This past conference, I learned how to talk to the media and other useful talents and things that you can learn to make an organization like mine better. So I'm interested in starting a nonprofit here and getting grants to do the work that I'm getting, and I'm hoping that this award and other things that I have been able to receive along the years will help give me more credibility towards organizations that are providing funding to do work. So I'm really grateful to receive this award. I've got my my plaque in the mail and I've been promoting it on my social media sites and to get the word out that hey, I'm doing great things. I'm a force to be reckoned with, and I will overcome the stigma of my criminal past. And I really appreciate the recognition, and I hope to connect with all of you in the future to help you with what you're doing so that you can help me and let's get together and change the world and make things happen. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Shannon, and it's such an honor to meet you finally. Congratulations again, and thank you, May. Thank you. All right. So I think we might need a minute to decompress at this point. We do have two presentations that are going to be presented during the awards. This will be the first one, and this is the Moxie Recognition Award. But before I let Dr. Lowell Matthews speak, I did, some of you may not know, and some of you may have seen the play last night, but I had, struggled to find a job for over a year. I had applied for everything under the sun. I applied for a gas station attendant. I applied for to the state, and they had me applying for several different positions, and I didn't have any success. Finally, I saw a posting at SNHU, and the posting was for a team called Project AIM. I saw it and I was like, huh. So I wonder if that's something that's really like my resume and my background actually was valued. And so I went in and I met Dr. Matthews and I met Adiola, and meeting the two of them, and they were like, yeah, come on, we want you. And Dr. Matthews has been a constant advocate for the students and their voices. And in the past, I had been a student of SNHU where I was really encouraged. And so one day I kind of threw out there, I was like, hey, we should have a conference. And Dr. Matthews was like, sure, go ahead. And so Dr. Matthews allowed me to shine. And not just me, but so many others who are former prisoners, formerly incarcerated, and really allow us to feel more empowered and to use their backgrounds as a positive and not a negative. So it is my honor to turn it over to Dr. Lowell Matthews to speak for the next 7 or 8 minutes about the Moxie Educational Foundation and also the Navigators Network and so on, so that you can learn about these wonderful programs. And thank you again for everything that you and Adiola have done and continue to do.
Thank you, Ben, for that great introduction. And it is so true when Ben was mentioning that I really try to be an advocate for my students. And in all transparency and in honesty, have to come clean. When I got involved with this work in higher education in prison was actually because of a student project. One year in 2018, I gave my students the question to answer: who benefits from incarceration? Businesses, government, or society? You have 15 weeks to answer that question. And as you're answering the question, I want you to visit 26 incarcerated men of color at the McDougal facility in Suffield, Connecticut. That experience transformed the lives of my students and led them to create Project AIM, achieving independence and mobility, that became the university's first initiative to provide incarcerated learners a degree using micro credentials and badging. Project AIM grew, and it grew to such a state that now we have Moxie, a complete nonprofit organization outside of the university that again is ran by students that have lived experience with the justice system, with incarceration, are actually empowered and provided the opportunity to change the world. Moxie, although we're less than a year old, we'll be celebrating our 1 year anniversary in April. Even in the short amount of time, the current students that are on the team have risen to the occasion. Seeing leaders such as Ben being a role model for them has allowed them to see what their potential can lead to. I'm happy to announce that Moxie will be launching the Navigators Network. Currently, the Navigators Network is led by one of my current students, Christiana Sunshine, who will be the lead of Navigators Network. Navigators Network provides a space for us to continue the learning that we have started here at Stop the Stigma outside of this conference. Navigators Network will meet on a monthly basis and gain together, and together we will be able to impact influence policy. We will be able to leverage resources. Most importantly, we will be able to encourage each other and to share each other's joy. Also, part of Navigators Network is a national database resource that students have created. Students from various states across the United States for the past 16 months have been spending time in their communities on the street, actually collecting and meeting with those direct service providers that provide services and resources to individuals once they are released and pre-released, providing them the opportunities to be able to live and thrive when they return to their communities. If you're interested in joining Navigators Network, Sunshine has just posted the link in the chat. Feel free to click on that link and she will be reaching out to you. Sunshine, thank you for the work that you're doing. And one day you too, I'm sure, will be leading Stop the Stigma. I'm going to kind of conclude my remarks with just by providing a little encouragement for all of us, particularly in the time that we're living and experiencing our community today. February is Black History Month. I identify as a Black male. I have a beard. I'm wearing glasses with a brown frame, and I am bald. The way that I show up many times allows individuals to have judgments of me without even getting to know me. They immediately refer to biases and prejudice that they have that allow them to use stigma, whether it's true or not, to base judgment and their behavior towards me, against me. And so, a goal of Stop the Stigma is to really provide a space where we can see each other, we can be our authentic selves, and most importantly, we can learn from each other. The team of Moxie Educational Services is extremely grateful for the partnership with the community. Thank you to the community, the staff, the team for your countless hours in putting this event together. And to Shannon and Ben especially, thank you for providing a space for Stop the Stigma to reach even a wider audience. The first Stop the Stigma was in 2022 on the campus of Southern New Hampshire University. And it was also at that time that students came to me looking for a space and a way to be seen and heard. And my goal was to step out of the way and to let them shine and do it. And as a result of all of that work, you are able to participate and be part of something that is truly, truly special. As we continue on with the awards program and the later awards to be announced, I want you to just remember that stigma can only thrive in silence. By sharing our stories and supporting one another, we can create an environment of acceptance and understanding. Together, we can make a significant impact and pave the way for a more inclusive future. I want to thank all of you for your dedication, your passion, and your unwavering commitment to stop the stigma. Thank you for being here, and let's get on with the awards.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that beautiful speech. All right, we are ready for our next award, I think. Thank you again. So the next award is the Lived Experience Storyteller Award. And so, again, yes, the Lived Experience Storyteller Award. And this can be an artist, a writer, or just a creative individual. It celebrates a creative leader, writer, artist, performer, or filmmaker who uses narrative to transform public understanding of disability and incarceration. For this award, I have Justin Gallant, who will be presenting. If you'd like to turn your camera on, Justin Gallant. Great, thank you, Justin. And then could I ask that Lucas turn his camera on as well, Lucas Deitch? And so if you guys could see each other, I'd love to see Lucas's responses to what Justin's about to say. Lucas, I think you're here. Okay, I see that you're trying to get your camera on. I think that might be me. One moment, Lucas. I forgot that I had turned Lucas off before, so I had to turn it on for him. Sorry about that. All right, I'll hand it over to you, Justin.
Hi, my name is Justin. I am a 38-year-old white non-binary male with long brownish hair, a beard, piercings, and a black shirt with the words "Die Black Block," a joke about Ernest Bloch, who's a philosopher that Lucas works with. The beating of the hideous clock. Lucas Alandici spells out like a mechanical dial, churning the spatial into the temporal. 1, 2, 3. Good evening, everyone. It means a lot to me to introduce tonight's recipient of the Lived Experience Storyteller Award, because I have the rare privilege of knowing him not only through his work, but as a colleague, comrade, collaborator, and a friend. Lucas is a writer, conceptual plastic artist, scholar, and advocate. He's someone whose thinking moves across poetry, theory, disability studies, and abolitionist critique. Disciplines that refrain from separate categorization, unfolding instead as one continuous practice of attention. As Lucas writes, poetry and thought emerge as acts of care towards the unseen. That sentence conveys almost everything about how he moves through the world. Lucas is a published author and is currently a PhD student at the Institute for Doctoral Studies in the Visual Arts, and he teaches criminal justice through the prison education program at Adams State University. That combination alone tells you something really important. Lucas doesn't approach systems from a distance. He works inside them, alongside the people most affected by them. That perspective is shaped not only by study, but by lived experience as someone who is justice impacted as well, a position he carries with clarity, rigor, and care. Lucas lives and works as a neurodivergent thinker, navigating depression, anxiety, and schizotypal, sorry. He writes openly about what it means to be watched, misread, surveilled, and treated as a risk rather than a person, and about what it takes to keep creating anyway. If you spent time with Lucas or his work, you learn quickly that he doesn't feel or see the world in flat categories. As he puts it, it's all surrealist jazz. And somehow that line managed to be funny, philosophical, and completely accurate at the same time. To understand what I mean, it helps to hear Lucas directly. I want to share a passage from his poem, Faraday Compromise. And like I saw, suddenly discussing guitar arias, wind throat, talking combustible, fractalized splinters of rivets, faces splat, pregnant anxiety, I ready-made night feet, night scarred, abandoned ghosts, mom's art, and like blankets, man, buildings bulkheads, pull and plug, the envy, nip and torn, place and plaster, and be like solo groove, barbecue inflation, eloquent eyes, and sunflies broken flint through. That low hung plane pinned, monoflammatory buzzy ray, a non-gesture to biological underlings, galerical panopticon doused in all shares of prison whites, loaded in neutrinos willingly into Thanos' mouth, and like so strangulation of time. Lucas Alandici, January 2024. And that's the kind of voice we're honoring tonight. Lucas's writing doesn't ask permission to exist. It bends language until it can hold experiences most frameworks don't know how to name. It blurs humor, rupture, theory, sound, and image in ways that convey what it actually feels like to live inside systems of surveillance and survival, and still create, as he says, miserable and cigar to smoke from tintibulation. As assistant editor of the Transformative Justice Journal, Lucas helps make space for other voices like that too. He mentors people navigating depression, trauma, and criminalization, often when formal systems have already failed them. He calls this practice zealous solidarity, the belief that if you show up for people long enough, solidarity will someday show up for you. What stands out about Lucas is not just what he's achieved or endured, it's how he shows up, with honesty, with rigor, with care. And that combination, intellectual depth, experimental force, and lived commitment, is exactly what this award exists to recognize. Lucas, it's an honor to know you, to learn from you, and to celebrate you tonight. And like So the Strangulation of Time, please join me in welcoming and celebrating Lucas Alandici, recipient of the 2026 Lived Experienced Storyteller Award.
Wow, thank you so much, Justin. I don't know what to say. I guess you stole my poem that I was gonna read. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Justin pretty much said it all. So I don't know. I was gonna give a 5-hour lecture on the Greeks and stigma. But yeah, I'm really I as a poet, as a love storyteller, I was gonna tell a story, but I guess the cat has my tongue, as it were. Um, but quickly, yeah, just to thank Justin and my partner Essie and Convict Criminology and Mentors and the Block Block. Not yet, but now. The University of Murray. And especially, yeah, thank the Greeks for giving us the word stigma, which is a mark of well, it's a mark, with the myth of Argus or Hepatus, regarding surveillance and everything. So yeah, thank you so much for this award, everyone. Yeah, I'm just kind of blown away by all the things I say that people remember. And now I have to write about it. So yeah, as I'll just end by as an Ostria, um, um, written by the Greek philosopher Estrius, I always say that I won't be judged by furies. I won't be judged by furies. I'll make my own world through the zealous solidarity, through poetry, through my own way. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Justin.
Congratulations, Lucas. And thank you, Justin. So the next award recognizes. Sure, I'm on the right one. Sure, I'm on the right one. The community impact this is an organization that has made outstanding contributions to disability justice. Disability justice, reentry, education, mental health, and other anti-stigma work within communities or correctional settings. The person presenting this award is actually from the Deaf Counseling Center. Is from the Deaf Counseling Center. I thought it would be important to select an individual to present the award to an individual who's deaf from the deaf community, from somebody who was formerly incarcerated. This was a client who was incarcerated, me, and other people that she knew that was impacted by this organization. So if I can have Shelley come up. And
Taryn,
Taryn. If I could have Taryn come up. Oh, I'm sorry. Tahir. There he is. Okay, I will pass it on to you.
good afternoon, everyone, and Tahir as well. I am Shelly. I am a female with long brown hair. I'm wearing glasses. My background is blue, and I have a picture behind me that is of Susan B. Anthony. It has revolution on it. I'm wearing a black shirt. It is really such an honor to be here representing the community and the Community Impact Award and recognizing the organization and the work created meaningful, measurable changes in lives. Oftentimes, these individuals are neglected from systems of equity and justice and opportunity. This year is HEARD is our award winner, HEARD. And HEARD is receiving the Community Impact Award for their phenomenal, unmatched leadership in disability justice, reentry, and working against stigma for deaf, disability, and disabled who are in prison. HEARD is the only organization in the United States that is fully committed to supporting current and former prisoners incarcerated that are deaf and disabled. And they have done this through an abolitionist lived experience guided model that centers on access and survival. And that is so imperative. Okay, sorry about that. So deaf, disabled, those who have been incarcerated or currently are incarcerated are the most isolated population throughout the country. Many that are in jails or prisons do not have language access. They are without interpreters. They are without the ability to use phones, understand their medical care, and advocate for themselves. Deaf people often are misidentified as non-compliant, defiant, mentally ill, when in reality, they are just not able to communicate. HEARD stands up because the system has already failed and it continues to fail. And it continues to fail deaf and disabled individuals. But what makes HEARD stand above all others is not just what they fight against, but how they fight. HEARD is staffed directly by individuals who have been disabled, deaf, or incarcerated formerly, and have also provided equal education, lived life support in ASL, and that support often makes such a difference in isolated survival. HEARD has built the only commissary fund that is specifically for the deaf and disabled who are incarcerated. They are the first reentry program run by and for deaf disabled individuals in fighting detention and secured release of deaf individuals all over the country, guided by hashtag deaf prisoner phone justice flyers, which force the federal policy to be changed at the FCC level, and that impacted access to telecommunication and relay services for prisons countrywide. And the last point is so powerful. Policy changes at the federal level. That does not happen easily. And it almost never happens because deaf imprisoned individuals are unheard and unseen. HEARD made this happen. HEARD has also been recognized nationally within the media and public discourse for exposure and how they approach the systematic system for non-deaf individuals, access to language, due process, and their work has brought visibility to those in the community that are often overseen within the disabled justice system. Beyond that, the policies, the advocacy, HERD's public education team created something that is equally important, which is space. Space for learning, for recovery, for peer support, for deaf and disabled people to be seen as whole human beings and not problems being managed. HERS reminds us all that deaf people are equal and are not just a niche. This is a justice issue. This is a disability issue. This is a reentry issue, and it's a human issue. Their impact is immediate and profound, and their work is cooperative. Their relationships are embedded in life's experience, and it is with deep respect that I am proud to present the 2026 Stop the Stigma Community Impact Award to HERD.
Hello. Thank you again, Shelley. I want to introduce myself. My name is Tahir. I'm here representing the HERD section. I would like to share my journey. I live in Buffalo, New York. I moved to the United States from Bangladesh in 2008. It has been a great opportunity for me to pursue education, find a job, and live in a safe environment. Since then, I've learned so much about American culture and the diversity of people of color. I graduated from a deaf school and began pursuing my bachelor's degree at RIT. My major is international relations and my minors were accounting and economics. Unfortunately, I was not able to finish college because I went to prison. I have only 2 semesters left to graduate, but I haven't been able to afford paying off my previous tuition debt. I never expected that the HERD organization would support me while I was incarcerated. Can you imagine being the first person in your entire family to experience prison? My family didn't know how to reach out or support me during that time. HERD was there for me and has continued to support me every step of the way till this day. In addition to being involved in HERD's public education team, PET, and graduating from a program last year, I'm currently supporting a new pet group as its co-facilitator. PET Pet provides a valuable opportunity for people who have experienced incarceration and have since returned home. The pet space helps us teach and share information and resources with each other to build the skills and knowledge we need to grow in this new chapter after incarceration. For example, some people who have been in prison for a long time are released and find themselves behind on technology. PET helps us learn how to use phones, video platforms, email, and other technology. PET also teaches us how to advocate for ourselves with parole and legal matters. We learn about many different topics related to everyday life that we may not be familiar with. In PET, we develop a network of deaf community support that we can rely on for resources. The HERD team supports us by ensuring we have the tools and skills necessary to avoid returning to prison. PET also prepares us for success. This is why we are also grateful for their support. I want you to know that HERD is a small organization that advocates for deaf and disabled people impacted by incarceration. And it needs your help and support to continue its important work and expand its advocacy efforts. If you'd like to learn more about the organization, please visit the website. Thank you for your time and for listening to my story. I also want to say thank you for giving this award to HERD. I am honored to support this organization. Thank you. Congratulations again. Congratulations. And again, we have a list of people that nominated HERD for this award. They are an amazing organization. I finally figured out the sound to the thing that I was trying to do earlier.
And think of a good way to pay tribute and honor the community and Shannon Ross. The community as a whole has really come a very long way and has accomplished quite a lot. So, for the record, this is not an award. This is just a video paying tribute to those who have paved the way here at the community. And here, I'm gonna pat what's the word? Pass the toast, pass the light, phone, pass the phone to the next person.
Hi, this is Lauren. Congratulations, Shannon and the community. I'm so proud of all the work that you all have done. Thinking back about when I first came in contact with Shannon was when he was incarcerated, and then dreaming of what could be in this world and how far he could come, and then till today, his dream from inside a prison cell has grown into creating real pathways to healing and justice, challenges stigma, and it truly changes lives. I'm so proud of you and the whole team and excited for whatever comes next for you, and can't wait to see where it goes, because this is just the beginning, and give them all hell.
Congratulations to Shannon and the entire community on everything you guys have achieved. What began as a very powerful idea in a humble place has grown into an organization with real national impact, which is really setting a new standard for what change can look like from the inside out when it comes to reform of the criminal legal system. It's been a real honor to work alongside you to create the Community Health Worker Training Program, and I'm excited to see what comes next. Congrats.
Hi, my name is Darren Wheelock, and I'm a professor at Marquette University and the director of the McNeely Prison Education Consortium. And we partner with Shannon Ross and the community and their staff on a number of different initiatives and projects, including developing a class, to the project to provide accommodations for incarcerated students with additional learning needs. And in all of those projects and initiatives, I'm just really so impressed with Shannon's grace, his brilliance, his experience, and his creativity and innovation. I really think one of Shannon's best qualities and one of the best parts of working with the community is their power to ideate, to come up and with innovative solutions and ideas to provide educational opportunities for individuals that are woefully underserved. And I'm also just super grateful and very humbled and honored to be able to call Shannon a colleague a collaborator, and a friend. So thanks for all the good work that you do, Shannon, and thanks to the entire community staff for all the great work that you do as well. I am so grateful to be able to work with you. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Adam, and I'm the director of the Department of Community Wellness and Safety. And I want to take this opportunity to thank, who am I supposed to be thanking again? Shannon? And what does she do? He. Oof. Yeah, I wanted to just thank Shannon and the community and all the work you've done to change the narrative. From the inception of the community, your work has been rooted in the narrative. And I think now, more than ever, narrative is the most important aspect of us becoming us. But seriously, thank you for tirelessly working to help us become more than what we were yesterday. Don't ever ask me to thank that dude again. I can't stand him. So it's like alligator urine and shame. And I know, oh.
I want to take a moment to give a shout out to Shannon, the executive director of the community. What he has built is an actual community, creating supports and systems from pre-entry to re-entry. A community of persons who just get that we all need a community, that we all need support sometimes. I especially appreciate that he has built out the disability access and prison education component with Ben Wright, and that he continues to seek ways to be a stronger ally with the disability community and to those who have disabilities and are impacted by incarceration. Keep doing this hard, but much needed and much appreciated work, Shannon. We want to thank you for all that you have done.
Hey, just wanted to send a quick message of congratulations. And when I reflect back on the first time I had met you, you had quickly discerned what I was saying in our meeting and helped connect me to different leadership and involvement opportunities as it relates to being more involved in criminal legal reform work. And for that, I am eternally grateful for that. And I just want to say how inspiring it is that you started this organization as an idea, and now it's a full-blown, nationally recognized nonprofit. And it has been such an enriching experience to have you as a mentor and to develop my skills as a community organizer. And I'm also very grateful to have learned alongside the rest of the team at the community. So I appreciate all of the contributions that you've made to our state and the contributions that you make sure that we're building a justice system more worthy of that name. So I hope you're enjoying yourselves, and I'm very grateful again to have met you all. Congratulations again.
Thank you, congratulations, and remember, this is not an award. Keep moving forward.
I did that in secret.
I did that in secret too.
Not just for Shannon, but for the whole team.
Not just for Shannon, but for the whole team, for Jen Vega, for Deli, for Carl, for a whole list of other people, for the entire team. You all do such wonderful work. Again, this is not an award. It's just something to continue to encourage us to continue.
1 minute.
You have 1 minute to speak.
Yeah, thank you. Ben keeps saying it's not an award because he knows I don't want awards. So, but yeah, no, I greatly appreciate it. It's always touching to see the journey we've taken, especially seeing Lauren at the beginning, which I think is apropos because, as she said, her and Sean Pico were like the first two people I connected with. In fact, Hudson Link gave us the first $150 when I was inside to get it going. So here we are. So yeah, it's a cool journey. It's, if you know me, you know I'm moving a lot and always looking at the next thing. So it's good to look back and see where we came from and what we're doing. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ben. And also, as Ben said, it's the team. Like, it wasn't for me. The path that we started from was back then. But yeah, like, we have a really, really, really good team. Very grateful for everybody.
Thank you again. All right, we'll go ahead and continue on. We're approaching the end with only 30 minutes left, so let's see who's next. So the next award is the Access and Equity Champion Award. I'm trying to think of the right sign for champion. I know that. I know it's champion, but I don't like that sign. So yeah, this award recognizes a professional working in disability services, access, reentry, education, corrections, healthcare, or legal advocacy, who has significantly advanced accessibility and inclusion for incarcerated or justice impacted people. So presenting this award, I'm checking to see if someone's here. I do want to give Sharif a moment to come on. Okay, great. Go ahead, Brian. It's your turn.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be with you. My name is Brian Scott. I am a white male wearing blue Oakley glasses. I'm also wearing a blue-gray UNC School of Digital and Lifelong Learning jacket. In the background is the hotel I'm staying at in Durham, North Carolina. Tonight, we honor someone whose work reminds us what access and equity look like where they are lived, not just discussed. I first met Sharif Brown 3 years ago when he was invited to speak at a reentry simulation in Pitt County that I attended. I was new to the work, having been released from prison just a few years prior, and was so excited to meet Sharif because everyone had told me about this amazing man and the work he was doing on behalf of my community. In case you don't know, Sharif Brown serves as the Director of Reentry at the Alliance of Disability Advocates in Raleigh, North Carolina. At just 19 years old, Sharif started working in the disability community, serving in roles ranging from dedicated service provider to quality assurance inspector. Throughout that time, one thing remained constant: his focus on people who are too often left behind, especially justice impacted individuals living with disabilities. And this work is personal for Sharif. His brother spent more than 20 years cycling in and out of incarceration. Through that experience, Sharif saw firsthand how the system fails families, not because people don't want to succeed, but because the support they're offered is often outdated, generic, and inaccessible. And this is especially true for people living with mental illness or other disabilities. Reentry plans often only exist on paper. They're disconnected from real life. Sharif saw this problem firsthand and decided to fix it. In 2016, he created the Innovative Reentry Program, a pre- and post-release program designed specifically for individuals with disabilities. From the start, this program did something radical. It centered choice. Instead of telling people what their lives should look like after release, Sharif honored their autonomy by helping them build their own plans, plans shaped by their goals, their needs, and their realities. Plans that started before release and continued long after the prison gates closed. Through this model, Sharif and his team provide housing and employment support, access to benefits, mental health and substance use resources, independent living, and travel training, assistance with vital records, and even driver's license restoration. And all of this work is done in collaboration with the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction. What began as a program serving individuals released from FCI Butner expanded into state prisons across North Carolina. To date, Sharif's work has supported over 700 people transitioning back into the community, helping people thrive in freedom through preparation, dignity, and human connection. But numbers only tell part of the story. One nominator shared this about Sharif. They are the parent of a child who was incarcerated for 10 years and released with no home plan. The prison offered no help. Out of desperation, this parent searched for reentry services and found Sharif. From the very first conversation, they knew he would help. He went to the prison. He sat with their son. He helped him create his own reentry plan, one that reflected what he actually wanted and needed. He gathered every resource the son requested and made sure he had them before release. When the day came, that young man didn't walk out empty-handed. He walked out with a step-by-step guide for rebuilding his life. And what's so amazing is Sharif didn't just stop there. After release, he stayed. He helped secure a good paying job. He helped navigate benefits. He provided life skill support that had never been taught before incarceration. And this mattered even more because the young man lives with severe mental illness. Today, I'm happy to report that son is living independently. He's driving a car. He's going to work. He's supporting himself. His parents said they never thought this would be possible. And when they asked about the cost, the insurance, the fees, the out-of-pocket expenses, they were stunned to learn that Sharif's program was completely free. That is what access looks like. That is what equity looks like. And yes, that is what justice looks like when it's built by someone who refuses to give up on people. Sharif Brown's work embodies truly individualized, human-centered reentry. He doesn't just help people survive release. He helps them imagine a future where they can thrive and then gives them the tools to reach it. Tonight, we are proud to honor Sharif Brown as this year's Access and Equity Champion for his leadership, his compassion, his innovation, and his unwavering belief that people with disabilities who are justice impacted deserve more than a second chance. They deserve a real one. Sharif, my friend and my brother, thank you for the amazing work you do for building dignity, stability, and hope. One person, one plan, and one life at a time. I'm honored to share this space with you tonight.
I appreciate you, Brian. Brian's passion for reentry matches mine. If you ever get a chance, definitely go visit his nonprofit called Our Journey. They're doing phenomenal work in North Carolina with resources as well. I'm thankful to the Stop the Stigma agency. Even though I'm a 6'6", 315-pound African American from the inner city of New York, I'm always humbled to receive any kind of appreciation for what my program has done for people. It's amazing that this program started just to help one person in Barton Federal Corrections, just one person, and it ballooned to where it is now. Over 700 people served and successfully served at that. Obviously recognizing what reentry plans look like and what the need really is. I was fortunate, ironically enough, to have a brother that did 20 years of incarceration starting at the age of 13. So I saw what that looked like for him to come out with no resources, no plan, intentionally, and then have him revert back to what he was used to because he had no plan and no direction and to go in and out of prison, and watch what that did essentially to my mother, because she was a single parent raising 7 of us by herself. So I saw what it did to her, and that really, really drove me to try to come up with something that was going to help people pre and post release, wishing that my brother had the same opportunities when he was incarcerated. And then having a son that has autism allowed me to fold in the disability component of that without even recognizing that over 45% of people who are incarcerated have some form of a disability. So this was my thought process even before recognizing what those numbers were. And I'm thankful overall. That's just my word for today. I'm thankful that God put me in that position to be able to help so many people, that even with all of the budget cuts and the stigma that is placed on people with disabilities and the administration doing what they're doing to the population that we're serving, to my $1 million grant from the Department of Mental Health being rescinded 3 months into the contract, which was for 3 years, and my program is still surviving, and never having a staff of more than 2 people ever during the duration of these past 9 years. I've only had 2 people working up under me, at any given point. So to serve that many people with that limited amount of staff just shows you that you don't need a lot of people to help a lot of people. You just need dedicated people to help people. And this is my lifelong passion. I can't see myself doing anything else. And I look forward to the next 10 years. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I give it back to you.
Congratulations, Sharif. And you have an amazing panel with Philip. We should give you a second award for that panel, the panel that you did earlier. Congratulations once again. Now we have a second Access and Equity Award. This one is personal for me for many reasons. When I was trying to decide on who to give this award to, I was thinking, I'll present this award. But then I thought, don't be selfish. Let some other people recognize this person. When I was incarcerated, I had the opportunity to take some college courses. And when I was incarcerated, my soul was almost, my soul wasn't there. But when I walked into the college class, I said, I need an interpreter for this. And I didn't know before, but the person who helped get the interpreter set up was new to that college. And she rolled up her sleeves and she just forged forward. She might disagree with me, but I am where I am because of this person. 100% I believe that. I am living proof why this person is getting their award. So I am so happy to see that she was nominated, and I'll step back because I am biased, and I'll push it off to the committee, and they actually also recognize your work as well. So I'm more than honored. If we could please have Wendy Harbor pop up. Wendy, if you could come up on screen. My bad, you were there. Okay, and Jennifer Montag, if you could come up. Excellent. Have fun.
I'm actually deaf and I signed, but I'm going to let the interpreters interpret for me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Wendy Harbor. I have a black jacket on and a burnt orange turtleneck. I'm a white woman with brown hair and some very colorful glasses. I'm just so happy to be here today as part of Stop the Stigma. It's my distinct honor to present the Access and Equity Champion Award to someone I deeply admire, my colleague, Dr. Jennifer Montag. And thank you, Ben, for the opportunity to do this. I appreciate it. Jennifer is widely recognized in her national leadership for advancing disability access and educational equity for people who are currently and formerly incarcerated. She does this work as an academic researcher and also at her work at the Association on Higher Education and Disability. I actually will put the links there in the chat. It is her commitment and dedication and passion about the field that makes Jen worthy of this honor. She's exceptional because of what she does and how she does it, but also who she shows up for along the way. It's always the people who matter to her, always the people first. Jennifer works with colleges and correctional systems and community partners across the country. She provides technical assistance, and then she's also doing like one-to-one engagement right on the ground. And she works with disability services providers to make sure that they're better equipped to serve students. She has a real talent for listening to people and focusing on what they need and doing person-centered work. And I was laughing when Jennifer Toon was speaking because Jennifer Montag typed in the chat, nothing about us without us. And I was going to say right now that that's what guides you, is nothing about us without us. I appreciated the irony. So Jen has told me, just how much access is treated as an afterthought in correctional settings. The accommodations can even be viewed as a liability or just one more reason to marginalize people with disabilities. But Jen, you have a clear vision of something better. And when people are afraid, you challenge that fear about disability accommodations being unsafe or unrealistic or incompatible with correctional settings. And Jen argues that segregation and policies like that can just further oppress people in already oppressive settings. She reminds institutions that access is about removing barriers. So dignity and opportunity are actually possible. And Jen, whenever you talk about this, you talk about how education can really change people's lives. And you strive to make that possible for as many people as possible. But you also look at the systemic barriers that you could change or address to create real and lasting change. Jen teaches people what she believes, that people who are incarcerated or returning from incarceration are capable learners, thinkers, leaders, and that includes neurodiverse people or people with sensory, mental, emotional, physical disabilities. And it's so funny because Ben was telling me how kind of what he just said, that his voice was dismissed and ignored, and the systems were trying to hold him back. And his experience with Jen was just this really profound experience where she just ignored what the system was saying. She leaned in, listened, mentored, advocated, and she saw Ben as a leader before he even saw himself as a leader. But from my perspective, personally, as a friend and colleague, it's disability justice and social justice that I see driving you. I tell my son, my teenage son, that integrity is what you do when no one else is watching. And Jen does not do this for the accolades, although I'm really happy she's getting an award today. Behind the scenes, Jen is still collaborative and persistent and driven and willing to do the hard things. And I actually tease her about how many presentations she does because she's always crisscrossing the country. And every time I talk with her, she seems to be in a different state. But this is absolutely her passion. She sees possibilities for equity, and then she's just willing to build it piece by piece, relationship by relationship, institution by institution, whatever it takes. So Jen, it has been my complete honor and joy to work alongside you. I've learned so much from you about so many different things, but you've really opened my eyes to new possibility for our work in this field, and how it could just expand what we're doing in disability and higher education. I've watched you within Ahead as you just created new national networks with your colleagues, and how you've taken a topic that's often invisible for disability services providers and made it very visible and given them practical tools to move forward. I'm so glad you're in this field, and you're doing it all from a place of joy and care and compassion, and you have a good sense of humor too. So it's my privilege to present you with the Access and Equity Champion Award. You've changed countless lives in too many ways to list. So thank you for all you've done, all you're doing, and all you're going to do in the future. Congratulations.
Thank you, Wendy. First, I just want to say Ben and Wendy actually managed to keep this whole award presentation and that Wendy was going to present to me a secret for 2 whole months. I'm really surprised and I'm really honored because Wendy, I've really looked up to you as a leader in disability and deaf access throughout my professional career. You already know that. But I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for honoring me with your time and presenting this award to me. I didn't know that I could get an award for being stubborn and obnoxious, but I love getting an award for getting in everybody's face about accessibility. Thank you, everyone. More importantly and more seriously, receiving this award is a great honor, and I would like to share this honor with all the students and all the disabled people and all the individuals I met and have worked with who are incarcerated or previously incarcerated. I would not be here but for their trust in working with me. They trusted me with their stories and their lived experience with disabilities and with the carceral environment. Their trust allowed me to learn more, hear their voices, and say we can be doing more and doing it better. Thank you to each and every one of you, and a special thank you to a certain someone who organized this entire conference. Ben, thank you. You are one of those people. Access and equity is a civil right. Together, we can all continue to advocate for access for all and support equity in all programs, services, and activities in our communities, in our educational institutions, and within the state and federal systems, including corrections. Thank you for this recognition, and I hope to continue to live as an access and equity champion. Ben, I'll turn it back to you so I can turn off my camera and cry.
I'm going to say one quote for John before we move on to our next award and our last one. I know we're running out of time, but there is no way I'm going to be able to sign this quote. So good luck to the interpreter. But it is, for out of old fields as men say, cometh all this new corn for year to year. I'm going to post the new English for that. What it means is, from old fields comes new grain each year. That is my quote for John, and that is from Chaucer. Congratulations!
On to our next award.
Last but not
Our last but not least award is our what we call the Rising Phoenix Award. The person who's presenting the award is Sandy Townsend.
I forgot to allow.
Oh, I forgot to hit the allow. Okay, there you are, Sandy. Great. Go ahead. You have the floor, Sandy.
First met this young man in May of 2018 as he prepared to graduate from a local high school in the Charleston, South Carolina area. As the coordinator of scholarships for the Summerville Mayor's Committee on Employment of People with Disabilities, which is a local organization that impacts the lives of students with disabilities, it was my pleasure to ensure that he was awarded multiple scholarships while attending the College of Charleston, and with his last award assisting him with the attainment of his MBA at the University of South Carolina. The fact that my daughter graduated from Clemson, I won't hold the University of South Carolina against him. His ability to articulate life with differing abilities and his stellar grades each semester and his consistent goal of impacting the community around him set him apart from other applicants. It is beyond rewarding to know that he is now nationally recognized as a policy consultant, educator, and advocate for Indigenous communities, currently serving as the Native American Affairs Program Coordinator for the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs, where he works with all 14 recognized tribal entities on issues such as tourism, preservation, community development, and legislation. With a focus on education, cultural policy, and government relations, he developed strategic initiatives that support South Carolina's Native American populations through research, consultation, and tribal state collaboration. He works to advance tribal governance, cultural preservation, and community development, often building bridges between state agencies, nonprofits, and tribal nations. He has consulted on issues ranging from food sovereignty and curriculum development to cultural heritage protection and government policy. His impact has been recognized at the state, national, and international levels. In 2024, he made history as the first representative of a South Carolina recognized tribe to speak at the United Nations Expert Mechanism on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples in Geneva, highlighting the resilience and challenges of Native communities. He continues to build bridges between tribal nations, government, and global partners while advocating for rights and cultural heritage. He is a nationally respected advocate and educator. He has received multiple keys to the city, and he became one of the youngest recipients of the Order of the Palmetto, which is South Carolina's highest civilian honor. His work has earned numerous national and international awards for leadership, cultural preservation, and public service. And may I add, I am on vacation in Disney World with my family, and there is no one else that I would have stepped away from my vacation for 2 hours and watched all these other awards being presented, patiently waiting so that I could present this award to him. For all of these reasons and for so many more, it is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to present the Rising Phoenix Award to Joshua Sheback.
Well, thank you, Sandy. I don't know how Ben tracked you down, but I'm very happy to see you. It's been a pleasure to be able to work with my special interests. I know that coming into my field or even education, I was born with clubbed feet, which required a lot of corrective surgery, a lot of physical therapy to allow me to walk without assistance. Sometimes I still need a cane when it gets too cold outside, but in South Carolina, we only have to worry about that 25% of the time. But it was organizations like the Somerville Committee and some teachers who invested in me that allowed me to see potential in myself. As a neurodivergent student, not able to communicate as well as I would have liked, as well as to feel like I had a future or something that I could accomplish. I think I've come a long way, and it's interesting to see how that happens. And sometimes that is just connecting students with their passions and investing in them, and not labeling them with a stigma, and letting them see the possibility that they could grow into. And that's one of the reasons why, even coming from the aspect of a Native American community member, a Native American leader, that's a lot of the things that you already have to overcome. And one of the things that I'm trying to do in my own community is be a leader and help those who are also on the spectrum or neurodivergent. Because in communities like ours, we're very underserved, rural, have a very large distrust of doctors and government. It's very misunderstood, and so that's been one of my personal missions. And I've been very happy to work with Just Be, the Be Collective, and we were able to recently do a license plate law that passed about 2 years ago now at this point. Time is flying. And this year, I believe Georgia has picked that up, and they are currently deliberating on whether or not to bring that to Georgia. And I've just now been invited to join the FBI's Board for Community Engagement for South Carolina. And one of the things that we're trying to push is more engagement when it comes to both second chance reentry, as well as when it comes to connecting parents of children with disabilities to resources across the state and to better support and stop a lot of these families sometimes from being victimized, because we see that even for human trafficking, for instance, there's a higher number of people with neurodivergence who get human trafficked than it comes to any other population that gets trafficked. So there's a lot of work that has been done and a lot of work to still be done, and it's a great honor to be able to be recognized and to know that I'm on the right track. And I know, Sandy, you'll be the first to hear this along with the others here, but I've also been told by the governor's office that I'm possibly shortlisted for a commissioner seat with the Disability Rights Board of South Carolina.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing that happen.
I hope so. It's within a 4-year time period, so they're waiting to see when the other one expires, but I'm very hopeful to be able to have a bigger
Absolutely.
impact.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations again. I'm going to wrap up because we are 2 minutes over at this point in time. I'm amazed that we actually made it in time. So thank you again, Sandy, for joining, and congratulations, Joshua. 2 things before we wrap up today. Please keep moving forward. The other thing is to say, join us in stopping the stigma. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And we will post these recordings on YouTube. Each session will be posted, and resources will be provided shortly for each topic. Thank you again for our interpreters for bearing with us for the last 3 days. And thank you to our CART provider. You are wonderful. And thank you to all of our panelists and our chat moderators as well. I also want to say final congratulations to our award recipients, and congratulations to Moxie for their 1-year anniversary upcoming, and to the community for their continuing of moving forward. And please join us in Stop the Stigma next year. Thank you. Now go and enjoy your days and have dinner. I'm heading out to the pool, so I'm going to be relaxing. Bye-bye. Congratulations again. Good luck. Have fun. Stay in touch. Email me. Bye.